This is the international edition of my interviews, and of course, I have to do the first one with one of my favorite talented people in the United States, and she is Stacey Walker.
Hi.
Hey!
Hi, so good to see you. So good to be here.
Yeah, my God, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for accepting this interview.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we didn't met yet face to face, so I have to change because when I am doing this interview, the first question is kind of personal. The question is how we met, if you remember. But in this case, I'm gonna change the question, okay? I'm from Colombia. I'm a journalist from Colombia. Have you ever been there?
I have not ever been to Colombia. No.
And have you heard something about Colombia?
I've heard it's very festive and warm, and I believe it's probably very musical and vivacious and lots of energy there.
When I was living in Florida, so many people ask me like, "Hey, you are from Colombia. You have to dance." Shakira is one of the most famous artists from Colombia. Have you ever met her or worked with her?
I have a very funny story about that. Yes, I have not really worked with her personally, but a long time ago, we were casting for, I think it was a music video with Shakira, and she couldn't be there for the casting. So I stood in for Shakira, and while we looked for her leading man.
Uh-huh.
And so for 3 days, all I did was hug and kiss and snuggle with very, very cute models, like male models. It was hilarious. I would go home at the end of the day just smelling like men.
I would like to start since the beginning. So, when did you discover that you want to be a professional dancer?
Well, pretty late, actually. I mean, I started dancing when I was 5 years old, and I didn't really like it. I wanted to quit. And my dance teacher at the time told my mom, no, keep her in because I think she's good. So I grew up dancing. I always took it very seriously throughout my schooling, but I really never thought I'd be a professional dancer. It didn't seem logical to me or realistic. So I went to college and studied communications and psychology and graduated, got a job in marketing research. And I went to lunch that first day and I drove to the dance studio and I quit. And I've been dancing ever since.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was there at work thinking, am I going to do this every day? This just does not feel right. So I quit, and I've just been super lucky in my career to always have worked as a dancer and really never done much else. I started performing obviously as a dancer, and then I transitioned into assisting choreographers and being an associate, then choreographing on my own. I'm now sort of transitioning into directing and creative directing, both a little bit different, but both. So it's been like a really nice long career.
But why you decide to study communication?
For me, communications was just a very broad major. It's just very broad and basic. I think that you can use communications with whatever job you end up doing. So, I think I just chose it because really my passion was dance and I didn't have a passion for anything else, and it just was sort of broad. I just kind of did what I thought I should do, but it wasn't, I want to study communications. It wasn't like that at all.
The entertainment industry is so competitive, and of course, it includes a lot of rejections. Do you remember you received a no as an answer?
Oh, well, I received probably more no's than yeses. Certainly, you audition and audition and audition, and you're not going to be right for most jobs, because it's so much. It's not just about talent. It's also about how tall you are, if you're voluptuous, if you're skinny, if you're blonde, if you're brunette, if you remind the casting director of his ex-girlfriend, or if not, you know what I mean? it can be about so many different things. That's why it's very good advice to not take things personally. However, completely not possible, because you always take it personally when you get a no. But having been on both sides of it, started as a dancer and then as a choreographer, I have been on both sides of the casting table. So I understand that a lot of times everyone in the room is good enough.
Yeah, I like what something that you said. Everybody in the room is good enough. I like to
Mm-hmm.
see it, the positive things too. So, do you remember the first time that you received a yes?
Well, I mean, growing up, I guess in a dance company and getting, auditioning for that company, I guess was the first yes. But yeses can come in all sorts of different forms. I remember growing up in high school, and I was performing with my dance company, and then I got a call. Someone had seen me dance and figured out where I was from and called the dance studio to get my information to hire me for a job. If you think about every job being an audition, I think your career will go further.
If you have to pick the best moment of your career so far.
I do. That is really hard for me to decide, but I'm just going to say the first thing that popped into my head, and it would have been my experience on "This Is It" with Michael Jackson. And the reason is because it was so many things. It was difficult. It was hard. It was so fun. It was thrilling. It was challenging. It was devastating. It was sad. It was happy. It was everything. I never wanted to go home from that job. I loved everybody I was working with. Everyone was at the top of their game. And then it all came crashing down, and it was devastating. And I learned so much from that. So much from that experience. And I would do it all again. As difficult as it ended up being, I would do it all again. It was very, very special. And I am so honored to have been a part of it.
How was the transition in general to be a dancer and became a choreographer?
Um, Here's the weird thing about working with Michael. I never auditioned for a job with Michael Jackson. Can you believe that? The first job I did with Michael Jackson was my very first job in LA, and it was Ghosts. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it was like a 45-minute short film. It was Stan Winston did all the special effects. He did, like Jurassic Park and all that stuff, and that was another example of me. I was doing a show in Orlando, and the choreographer saw me dance and called and said, "Will you do this job?" And I had 5 days to quit my job at Disney World in Florida and move to LA and start working with Michael. And that's how I moved to LA. So I have been spoiled and very, very lucky in my career.
Wow.
The second time I worked with Michael was on the History Tour. I was a dancer on the History Tour. And that was shortly after. That was maybe just a year later. So same choreographers, Travis Payne and Lavelle Smith. And that was great. And shortly after that tour, Travis Payne and I started working together in choreography. He was already choreographing. I started assisting him. And then years later, I became his associate. And now we're even directing partners. We creative direct lots of different tours, and we're starting to get into directing TV and film now as well. Travis is like family to me. He's sort of my work husband.
So you have so many memories to share with us. I'm pretty sure about it, and we have to talk more about the Michael Jackson episode in your life. So, but it's gonna be up next in the second part of this interview. Okay?
Great.
Okay. Good.